Okay.
I think we're good, although I don't see any participants. So it's only us so far on Zoom.
The solar committee meeting. On May 15th, 2024. We've got the minutes of from May 1st. Does anybody see anything on here that they don't agree with?
The attachments on the back there in case you didn't see it.
Oh, good, thank you.
We get a motion to accept them.
I'll make that.
Second by Peter. All in
Who's the
favor?
first?
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Still paper center.
Okay, the Region 1 initiative. Findings by Daily.
All right, well, I have brought a little show and tell here. I had a very productive meeting, and my thanks to Clark Valley Regional High School for their generosity of time. So I thought what I would start with is an overview of the issues, and then I can get into the actual layout of the high school. So the two big options, kind of the four, are the field or the roof. At the high school, they're doing all roof, no field at all. And one of the issues with the field is that it's a larger installation. A roof is a smaller installation almost by definition. It doesn't have to be. I mean, somebody could say, but aren't you going to have larger roofs than fields? But on the whole, field is a much larger deal. You do need three-phase, whereas a roof, pretty much, depending on the type of installation, feeds one building or one complex of buildings. And a field is much more expensive. Well, not amount of money that you're committing to it compared to a roof. So, now for the magic of no technology at all. This is a whiteboard. And so I can write on it. And basically, this is a plan of high school. Very hard to draw it without it looking like an MC Escher, if anybody knows what that is. But anyway, it's very hard to draw it without it getting funny looking. But this is.
Well, what is an MCF?
Oh, an artist who like these staircases that would wind up.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Okay.
Right. So this is north, right? This would be Orange Turnpike. This is the river. And this is the main entrance to the high school here. Everybody can more or less see where we are.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's the stone building here.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the gymnasium. And I can barely read that I put a shorthand for cafeteria.
Yeah.
And the very first installation, which went in between, I think, 2014 and 15. So it's about 9 years old. We're over these two buildings. It has 1 meter. All of the roofs that are done either today or to be planned are all on the western or the southern side, so that none of them are seen from the road. Okay.
So all of them face south
Or west.
or west. Okay, gotcha.
So these panels over the gym and over the cafeteria go through a meter here and feed an enormous panel which manages the entire facility. Sorry about that. I don't know what that is. So that is installation number 1. The second installation, number 2, is scheduled right now to be installed sometime this spring or summer. And it is, I have the exact plan, which is on the internet if anybody needs it, but if there's nobody on the internet, nobody needs it. And it runs across the western rooftops. And some southern rooftops down here. And it has basically two designs. I will send you all
Oh,
the
no.
exact.
This part's the ag
This is
building,
7, this is, yeah. this is
and
ag.
then the middle section is where the auditorium
This
is.
is the auditorium. This is the library, media center, whatever. So there are 2 installations planned for this spring. They are quite a bit larger than these 2. One will feed only the school. It'll have its own meter. It will basically come around and feed the school only. The second will have its own meter,
Mhm.
and it will be a smart meter. So that if the school needs this power, it will go first to the school. And if there's excess power from this third meter, it will feed the grid. So just think of it as going right down here to the grid.
And that's the installation over this area,
Mm-mm.
which
Not
area?
necessary. It isn't, it isn't
They
in
haven't-
this drawing.
They haven't defined,
We're not gonna go into it in this drawing.
no, but they haven't defined where it's gonna be.
Yeah, they
They
have,
have,
but
okay.
that
good.
information wasn't ready to be
Okay.
shared, and it doesn't matter to us.
Okay.
So,
So,
there-
so in the terminology that was used last time, this existing is behind the meter.
yes,
Okay. And then this will be behind and net, a
one
hybrid.
will be also behind the
Yeah,
meter,
and the other will
and the
be
other will be
net metering.
net meter. Okay.
Okay, for me, what the heck does behind the meter mean? And unless there's something that's really easy in understanding behind the meter, in front of the meter,
Well, let me
Under
answer
and
it,
around.
okay? I don't wanna go into it. We can, but you're
If it's
asking a good
not-
question. You will notice I didn't bring up the behind the meter and
Mhm.
because it's another discussion. So for right now, I'd rather do that, and then we can go into terms, because there are a whole lot of terms that are used. That have been used in our previous applications, and they're not all that clear,
Right,
so I don't want to go into that.
that sounds like a plan.
All right. Okay. So, let's see.
If I may, just
Yeah,
quickly doing
please
it,
do.
if I think, just to keep it active in my mind.
Mhm.
And it's a mechanical question, and if it's not appropriate, we can circle back. So they have southern exposure and western exposure.
Yes,
On the western exposure, are they on angled brackets or are they still flat?
well, they're on the roofs. And the angle of the
So
brackets will depend on,
Angle meaning, a southern,
so when they're on the west,
Mhm.
you know, they're at an angle, which is maximized, and that's what all these consultants.
to the south, to the southwest.
These are west, these are south.
So they don't angle them to the southwest. They're just on flat brackets to the slope of the roof.
No, and no. So,
Lots of
the,
no's.
and I didn't really go into this,
Yeah,
Typically for
we don't
this-
have to, we're just,
but
it's really
that
curious.
some of these roofs are sloped.
Mhm.
And so is the slope the maximum angle? Probably not. Okay? So, and then some of these roofs are flat. Those will all be angled to some degree.
But the ones that are on the west, are
This is the west.
they facing strictly west or is there any southern orientation? to
That's,
them?
yeah,
Okay,
Is that what you're,
that's my
this
question.
building,
is it doing that or is it doing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
What you're asking, that's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Is it the array longitudinally to the building or is it at a slight?
And the only reason I was asking that is thinking about town buildings, if we've had that orientation.
Right,
What,
the actual angle is worked out by all the people who go out and measure all of those angles to the
Mhm.
roofs and to the maximizing. For what we're presenting here. I can't imagine actually that they're going to be tilting them that way, but maybe they are.
I've never seen anything like that on a roof, really. I don't
But
think.
that's not the
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't
We
want
should
to
be
belabor,
dealing
that
with
was,
the information
it was,
that we have.
I understand that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, it was just
Okay.
I thought an important section.
All questions are good questions, but it doesn't, bear anything here, and I certainly didn't go into it with the guys at the school. So. Any questions about basically what they're doing?
Unless you're gonna get to it, the amount of power being generated, yeah.
We're not gonna get to it.
No, okay.
A question I would have is, I'm assuming the school uses enough basic electricity to need that second array to just feed in school. And the third is finally maximizing overuse, and that's why they're putting out.
Exactly. That's the way they're set up in the different ways. So this is minimal, was a very good way for them to start,
Mhm.
to develop the knowledge with the working vendor. And the knowledge within the school. And frankly, there's been a lot improved in the industry in those years.
Did they use a consultant like we're thinking of using a consultant, or the ones that have been, suggested to us?
What they did was they interviewed different vendors and they went with one vendor here. Who, to the best of my knowledge, is the same vendor they're working with the second
Okay,
installation.
and is that like the consultants that we have
No,
talked with,
no.
they are the installers themselves?
Right, except that every one of the vendors will come in and do an analysis and a presentation. And that's what you're looking to the consultant. They didn't use an overall person to do
Okay.
all that.
Do they own the array?
All
or
right,
is it
now,
leased?
that.
You're gonna get to that?
But anyway, so what they have done is they are leasing their space to a third party. And the third party does the installation and the maintenance and the collecting and the monitoring of the facility. And manages the monitoring of the funds that go into the grid. And interestingly, because we were told something different last time, they actually get money back. They don't have to trade it with another school system or another town or anything else.
Region one gets the,
Beg your pardon?
region one gets the dividend.
Yes, yes,
Actual money, who owns the panels?
the whole thing is owned by the third party.
So they're leasing them.
So they're
That's what
leasing
you're,
They
they lease them.
they actually are leasing out, if you will, the real estate. They're leasing out their rooftops.
Hmm.
And that's the way it generally
So
has been described.
leasing out the rooftop, but they bought the installation?
No,
No?
purchasing. No,
Okay, so they're also leasing, they're renting the installation.
no.
No,
They're
they're
paying-
It's a
leasing, they're
third
leasing,
party.
yeah, they're
Is the
leasing,
third, okay, is the third party the installer?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
Okay.
they
You
took
didn't
the
say-
whole thing.
they install,
okay,
Uh,
good,
they maintain,
okay, good.
they manage, and they handle the analysis of the money or the power that's been put on the grid and then reimbursed.
Mhm.
And they're obviously doing this in stages. Are they doing it in stages because of available money, or why didn't they just do it all at once?
As I understand it from the perspective of the people in the school that I spoke to, they didn't think it was a good idea to start big.
I can agree.
Right, me too. It seemed to make all the sense in the world to me.
mhm.
It's an evolving technology. The
Mhm.
vendors are all getting slowly up to speed. Some of them are dropping off.
And it didn't cost them anything.
And it's gonna be the same vendor for each stage.
Well, it is right now. The vendor that did this is the vendor that's doing the next two.
That seems, well, maybe not, but that seems that could get a little bit confusing with different vendors. You know, like
Wow.
Another,
Okay,
the
yeah.
next, the future area, section E, you know, if you get now
Right.
somebody else in there and.
I can't imagine that there are many benefits in bringing it up here.
Right.
Particularly if you've had a good experience with it, that on a smaller initial thing.
Plus they also know the roof. I
So
mean,
this,
they probably looked at the whole roof to begin with to figure out which space was
They've done
the
an
best
analysis,
space.
absolutely.
So why switch?
Mhm.
so this behind the meter, phase one. The vendor, all the vendor really is getting there, since no electricity is, that's being generated there is leaving the property. They're only getting like the tax write-offs,
Mm,
or do they buy?
No, that-
Well,
Expand that, that's,
Or do they buy they're buying the electricity from that vendor? Is that what it
Who
is?
said they in your sentence?
The
Region one.
The region
That's-
one, the
that's the,
school, is the
yeah.
school buying the electricity from them?
Oh, the actual
In
transfer
phase-
of costs here, I didn't go into that one.
So
And the
they
person-
are either paying Eversource or they're paying some other,
Who's
is that,
the vendor?
sorry, Region One, high school, whoever,
Right.
is paying, are you saying,
That's what I.
who are they buying the? How,
Is the power, who is Region One?
because the power's behind the meter. There's power being generated, so the question Peter, I think, is asking is. Does the third party vendor, solar vendor, how are they paid for by Region One if it doesn't leave, if it's not measured, because it's internal?
Oh, it is.
Do they just
What's
get?
No,
their-
it's totally measured.
Oh, it's measured.
Yeah,
in-
there's a.
And if that's not your
meter
question, I
right
apologize,
inside.
but that's how I heard your
What's the
question.
financial benefit that the third party gets out of installing?
I don't have that information.
Yeah,
they get a
Any more
payment
than I
of
have.
a
They do
lease?
get a.
They get a lease
The
payment.
older ones especially, there was a really good incentive from.
Yeah, there were like,
to do stuff.
tax incentives huge.
okay.
Right.
Who down there, Region One? Who's the brain, I guess? There's gotta be somebody from
Sam
Region
Aaron.
One that can really,
What, we should really understand about the whole concept here is that Region One does have a business manager.
Sam Harris.
Correct.
We do
Yeah.
have somebody on Zoom now, just so you know.
Oh, good, good. And so if they want, you know how to do this, share if they want to.
I'm sharing it already.
Excellent, all right. And the business manager is involved in this from the very beginning. So all of the actual numbers of where it goes and who has what liabilities and where the school stands is part of the business manager's role.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Do you know, in that 9 year experience, have they had any repairs or? They have-
and the person I met with who took me through wasn't even there when it first went in. But there have been issues for repairs and they've been done. And because of the business relationship, the third party is more motivated than the school to make sure that all the panels are up and running.
That then indicates that they're getting money, they're selling the power.
Why?
Why? That
I'm
if the
just-
third party owns the installation, if the third party's equipment is generating the electricity and it's a school who's using it, I would, and then if there is a failure in the equipment, and what Daley just said is it's really to the benefit of the third party to get it up and running quickly again. That must mean they're getting money from,
Right, they're
Okay.
equaling or
Selling.
something off from
Yeah.
the.
it must be selling power. I would think
That
maybe
was-
at a reduced rate than
Or locked in rates.
than what they get from Eversource. Is it-
Okay. Any other questions on this so far?
Do you say this one, this new one that's going in will be behind Annette?
Don't, I'm not using those phrases because there's an awful lot behind it that I think we can get into trouble with.
Uh,
But there are two on the school.
Right.
Because the capacities, analysis is done. And the third, the school gets it first, but any excess goes down.
Right, okay.
Mhm.
Did they get into the engineering of why they're splitting it into two instead of just being the first and now the second?
Well, they
Is
were
it
very
just
clear that
the-
they did the first
About the
one
use? in the
about the
school?
analysis. And the experience and frankly, the development of the industry at the point back in 15.
Yeah, I get that, but now we're calling it number 2 and 3,
Well, the reason they're breaking up 2 and 3 and
two
they're
different
doing it
meters.
2 different meters and 2 different roles. One
Right.
meter goes dedicated to the
Yeah.
school, the other might be, you know,
In and out.
yeah.
Was there any discussion about what percentage of the total requirements are being met and what is the goal?
Not with me, I'm sure they did, but
That's a great question. I'd like to know that answer. Mhm.
They couldn't give you a cost savings?
I didn't ask
Yeah.
for it. They gave me what they gave me, which was
Okay.
basically a tour of the facility
Right,
and where the various installations are
okay,
going.
cool. Would the business manager be able to answer those questions, you think? Some of
Well,
those?
I think there may be a time, if the committee would like to do that, I think I would leave that up to Chris to make the call. Their records are public and you might want to read through them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be, I think it might be maybe during the summer time if we could
Not
get,
during budgeting time.
right,
They have enough stress.
get during their off season, maybe they could give us, like a tour.
Oh, you want another physical tour?
Sure, yeah, take a look at it and,
Yeah,
is there, that, I guess that part of my question
What's
too
on the
was
roof?
who,
We could probably
who,
go down. and look at it.
say, at this point, I could take you for a walk through the same way that I did. It's
Yeah.
outside. And you can more or less see. That's where I literally made my little scratches on here as I was walking around them.
Field trip,
But
field trip
A field
with
trip.
I was
beverages.
gonna say, yeah,
it'd be interesting to know who on their, in their building down there is, the real guru on solar.
isn't.
Or-
A very nice person who gave me my tour was the first to say he is no guru. That is handled by the third party.
Mhm.
That's a benefit in one sense of they're having a third party own it all, huh? If you have
Mhm.
just you guys.
Yeah, like, I think that there's still a mind in a school that must know that electricity internal grid like no other, but that's
Yeah,
neither here nor there. You know what I mean? Because that's a lot. If there's an issue, they're gonna know what to cut, but that's.
Yeah, but the third party really does.
The
They
third party takes care of the
they
actual
monitor it.
production.
Yeah.
Right, remotely monitored.
Yes,
et cetera.
remote. Exactly.
Did they,
in there,
oh,
go
did they
ahead,
give you the name of the third party?
Yes, it is ECS.
ECS.
CGS,
ECS.
CES.
hi, Amy.
Motion to adjourn?
It's gonna be like that.
So the summary or the takeaways from my interview so far are that doing it piecemeal has a lot of advantages, or at least starting in a discrete way has a lot of advantages. They felt that it should. Something that I observed, didn't discuss with them really, except to confirm what I observed, is that there was no publicity.
I had
It
no
is
idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My kids have been going to school there forever. Well, not forever, in the past, 12 years.
Mhm.
And I had no idea that there were solar panels there at all.
Well, you can't see them.
Right,
that
and
was
that's
by
why.
design. But I was surprised that there was no,
Education factor?
well, no, there is an education factor, but it's not a very hands-on one. I think, they said some of the, students maybe in the ag school are getting some of this now. They did explain that they don't have a strong, program for HVAC and all those other
Right.
things, so that wasn't appropriate, but they do have a component of that in the ag school.
Mhm.
And I understand that it was discussed, but it's not really part of the general curriculum. But they didn't even have a big announcement in the Lakeville Journal that
Right.
the region is doing this
Right.
very cool thing
Yeah.
and has been doing it for some time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty. noteworthy.
Any chat of why maybe not?
Well, not with the people I was talking
Yeah.
to. That would have been a wholly different conversation
Sure, that's just
and you
curious.
speculate, but
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess it just piqued our curiosity of why they haven't.
Well, I think because, I mean, for the obvious, it would be, you'd open yourself up to a lot of
Questions?
questions and people from 6 towns, wanting to know
Mhm,
everything.
mhm. That's awkward. I noticed that in the presentation, the, education presentation, on the 10th, no mention,
Yeah,
and it's a revenue generator, right?
yeah,
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah, it didn't even make the news as far that I've seen, as far as usually the Lakeville Journal does, company X want to bid to do. Whatever.
So we're all-
Yeah, haven't
We're
read.
all in agreement. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Actually, what's more interesting is that in a region one budget, whenever these, like one is existing, the G
Mhm.
for the gym, whatever year that was from, that would have had to
Right.
be in the budget of a capital improvement.
no, they didn't pay for it.
If they didn't
It's
pay
a-
for it, it's
it's a
not
lease.
that kind of thing. It's a lead.
But it
It's
should,
a
it'd be
lease.
nice to be broken out as far as the
And also they,
benefit to the.
Well, they wouldn't have, they probably wouldn't have for those reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then the 2024 A and D, are those leases?
A through D.
A through D is is lease also?
They're all
Lease.
third party.
Okay,
No,
so
they're
it's
not.
not an expense.
No.
Right.
Which
no
is-
expense,
which
and there
is
has
not
been
part
no
of the-
income,
Then,
no,
They
with
have
no
to make
income
their-
since, it's cost reduction. So they don't have a line item
so
for
it is
that,
cost
Yeah.
reduction.
it's just a cost reduction.
Playing the band.
In other words, instead
It
of
only
paying
goes in a lower.
$2,000 for electricity, they're only paying $4,000. See,
Yeah,
now coming up, when they have the net metering potential, there will be an income stream, and
Right.
now they have to then show that. in
is that the
their
future
account.
one?
No,
Oh.
the one for 2024 has basically 2 installations in.
That's
No.
leased.
No, I wouldn't use the expression like that. I would say the entire facility. First one which was in 2015, and the one that's going in 2024. Those are all fully managed and owned by third parties, by one third party. And monitored, right? Says the leasing and nobody's clear where who's leasing one, all right? And there are basically 2 component things, but if you don't,
No, I get it. I'm just wondering for the future one, is that what they're also planning?
well, I don't know about the future. We talked about the
the
future
E.
that I have on there.
The E.
That is, yeah, the E, that really is
To be
to be determined.
Okay,
How
thanks.
did you know there were solar panels in the school?
Oh, I could
just
say I
amazing.
have my
Your
ways. I
helicopter?
called them up and I asked them.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So it shows in the budget only as a cost reduction because there was no expense. And in the beginning or
Right.
afterwards
Yeah, it's very hidden then.
as a cost reduction.
They did that roof.
I must have missed something. The company that owns the solar panels, how are they making their money?
Well, some of it was done.
clearly some of the reduction, they meter it right
Still,
now,
yeah,
right?
It's new with the addition.
And which
In
means
this case,
Me
the
too.
school is using all the power generated
they're
here.
using it,
In the last 10 years.
but what is the cost benefit to the school? And the answer is some of the cost benefit to the school is first taken by the third party. So the third party has done its analysis and it said, we will take all of this and they have the relationship with Eversource. So when so the bill goes down at Eversource, and there's a yeah.
We're,
And there's
we're
definitely
assuming,
tax
we're
benefits.
assuming that they're selling, the third party is selling electricity. We don't know that.
No, they're selling.
They're
it.
doing
It
that.
goes into the school.
Yeah, I know, but they're selling it to the school right
Well,
there.
that's one way of looking
Yeah.
at, yes, I don't know, selling it.
Yeah, selling it
You know,
to
it could
school.
be a perfectly good way to put it,
Yeah.
but it is metered. The solar
It's metered,
power is metered before it goes into the school itself.
but
to
we're
interpret-
assuming that.
But is it safe to interpret or align with your question that the cost reduction is shared by the third party and the school then?
No,
I mean, how do they make their money? Is what,
I think-
what irrigate asked.
I think that Amy's probably putting it in a very legitimate way. There are, think of it as a revenue stream that is coming from the side to the panels, right?
Right.
And some of that revenue goes
more
to
than
the
you
third
need.
party. No, they're using all the power. They're using all of the power in the first, in the 2015 installation, 100% of it, and it doesn't come close to meeting the school's needs.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I know, but you missed the first part, so.
No, I get it.
Okay.
And then, but you were
And then the
gonna,
second one, which is going in 2024, also just feeds the school's needs. And then the third, which is going in 2024 at the same time, feeds the school first, and then any excess goes to the grid.
right.
And that'll be the income back to school.
Mhm.
And
Which is a change from what we had heard. I'm not sure Amy was here for that. I think it's a really important part that Gail
Yeah.
said.
I'm sorry.
So they actually, instead of, they don't need to credit Kellogg or Sharon,
Speaker.
they actually could get
Yeah.
a paper check back.
Right. Wow.
Right,
Great.
which is good.
Mm.
And also, just to finish that point, though, the third party also gets huge tax credits
Mhm.
and benefits.
And were they able to tell you who the third party was?
Yeah, ECS is their.
ECS. Okay.
Yeah. Um. So the other thing that you missed, Amy, but I wanted to kind of go back around to at the end here, is that starting on the roof and starting small was, they thought, a pretty good way to begin. It's discreet. It was more manageable and gave them the experience with being in this business.
Dip your toe in.
Exactly.
But they only have one building. So there's only one property
They-
where, the high school, sorry,
Got
they,
it.
you know, the high school only has one building, whereas the town has many locations.
Possible.
So-
No, it has a locations possible, but I think that if we were to, extrapolate,
Mhm.
you wouldn't necessarily start with 25 installations, right? You start with something,
Why?
well, as I say, they did it at the school for the reason that they stated. So that is the answer to why the
Mhm.
school did it that way.
Mhm.
It was new to them at the time.
Well, it's new
They
to
were-
whoever does it the
Right.
first time, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they felt that was more comfortable for them. Makes sense.
Well, I think it's in many ways prudent.
And more cutting edge 9 years ago than 2024.
Yeah, and more risky 9 years ago too. They
It
did
costs
keep
no
them-
money to do this if you can do a third party. And you get you get a greater cost reduction. And possibly even greater income if you're doing net metering too. If you do a bigger project. So,
Well, there are options for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Right.
thanks. Wow, that's great
Yeah.
information.
And then for the Board of Financing, if you're interested in sort of buying fish, this was managed very carefully from the very beginning by the business manager.
Yeah, my
Sandra.
Sarah.
And probably there's something in that process that would be useful to the Board of Finance when they're looking at.
is it the same business manager at the beginning is still there now?
Oh, yeah, he's been there for decades.
Well, that's good then. That's really good.
Thank you.
Sure.
He'd probably be the guy we'd want to
Right.
talk to.
Oh, that's who you talked to?
No,
Who
I
did you talk to?
I spoke with the building facilities head, guy named Jeff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sam would definitely have incredible
More
knowledge
the
about
finance,
A
yeah.
to
To
Z.
add on to what you have, yeah.
Right. Right, particularly on the financing end of it. Right, and if you look back over the minutes of the Board of Ed, there's quite a bit of information in there
Mhm.
about presentations and the actual spreadsheets and.
You mean 9 years ago?
No, I mean, a month ago and
Oh.
4 months ago, when they just
Yeah.
reviewing and approving.
About the new project coming up.
Mm.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
That was super.
Yeah. Great.
It's really helpful.
Okay, so let's see, item 4 is review and compare the services of Titan Energy versus Green Bank. And I think we probably would wanna. This may be just really quick because we have to consider what Daley just provided, an idea of going through somebody like ECS.
Well, one question that might be interesting, unless you already know the answer, Dilly, is how did the school determine what was best for them? And how did they determine what contractor to use? Did they use one of these? Or did they kind of do it on their own? So maybe that's a question Sam might answer.
Well, there are other, yeah, Sam might know it, and I think he would have a very important insight into it. The Board of Ed itself has been involved in a lot of these discussions all the way along.
Okay.
I think that
Maybe Pat would even know.
at point 4 here, compare, review and compare services, it's like, I still don't know exactly how to compare the two, or even to make a choice. And so it would be great to know how, Region 1 did make a choice to go with ECF, or maybe they actually did go with Titan or Green Bank or somebody like them
Right.
9 years ago, who are no longer in the picture because they passed them over to ECS and ECS, because the differences between Titan and Green Bank is that Titan and Green Bank will do the same type of consulting upfront, but in the longer term, at least how I understood it, Titan will then hook you up with a third-party installer, and now they kind of step away. You're working with the third-party installer. They kind of like kind of fade from the project, whereas Green Bank is the actual owner of the array
I
from
believe,
the beginning, right?
yeah, I believe.
That's what I understood.
I understood
But
that.
they're
Are they
They
the
can
project
be,
manager?
Let's see, go ahead.
right. So it's my understanding that their primary role, their historic role, and they're taking on new positions,
Which one are you talking about?
right, for the bank, for Green
Mhm.
Bank.
Green Bank, okay.
The historic position is that they have been the financier. They have not been the engineers or the managers or the monitors or anything like that.
But the presentation she gave
Yeah.
last time seemed to indicate that they, this is their project, it's not yours, as a
Right.
client. They're working with you. You go to a certain extent and then you make a decision and they say, okay, we're gonna put this in place for you. But it's our project, we manage it, you don't have to manage it,
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. So that's what I understood
I
from her
understood that.
I
presentation.
understand Green Bank to be one-stop shop. We have we lease them the space, our
Yeah.
agreements with them. Titan will do the research and the engineering.
And they'll carry you
And
on
they'll
through a
say, okay,
year.
we have Chris Sergey. And Daly for contractors. We suggest
All right.
Sergey's maybe is a better return on investment, but it's up to you.
Right, and then, once you choose, Triton stays with you through the implementation, and then for 1 year beyond that to make sure that it's working.
And you know the dollars.
They actually are in the same business as ECS.
Yes.
But Titan didn't say that,
No, but we didn't ask them.
I did. And they said,
don't install.
they
do
say
it
they
all the
don't, well, they say they don't, that's not what our contract would be.
Well, that's the difference, Amy. When we were talking with them, we had asked them, do they do consulting? As an overall, will they submit an RFP,
Uh-huh.
distribute an RFP? And that was what they were answering.
So we weren't asking them, do you contract? I thought I had asked that, but I must.
It sounds to me like Green Bank and ECS are very similar.
No,
In-
ECS is, Green Bank's history has been
Finance.
finance. Now, they may be branching out now and taking on a lot of other roles, particularly since we're asking about other roles, they may be frankly presenting those ideas, because it seems like a business they may want to get into. They had, that list that she gave us of all the places that she's been involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are all finance.
Yeah, and the other thing with Greenbank, which she said was that we don't really have in-house expertise. We contract out expertise, but they're under them. Okay, so it's Greenbank's contractors. So Greenbank still is the overall owner of the project.
With all, what I'm saying is that
That's what she said. No,
these vendors have come into this industry in different paths. Because we asked them specifically, or I believe you did, Peter, I don't know, but if they were asked specifically, can they do consulting? The answer clearly, from what I heard from Greenbank, was absolutely. We can come in and bring in alternate vendors, and we would do it this way.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure, because I don't think we asked her that night, how many places have you actually done it this way, as opposed to just been the financier? Not that it's important at this point. I think at this point, we're trying to figure out what is it that this committee can determine that is most relevant to the selectmen at this point, and then see how much further they want us to go. I mean, I don't know, Chris, but
I think most important.
what do you mean by financier?
they have been the banker.
Yeah,
Right.
people
That
get
was-
loans, low interest loans from them for all kinds of stuff, yeah.
So you're thinking that they don't own any of the facility? That's what I understood. They own the array.
So does your mortgage bank own your house?
No,
Well.
They do,
They do,
actually,
according
they do.
to.
Yeah, they do.
A
It's-
lot of.
yeah.
they're not on title.
They are on the, until you've paid it off.
They're not on
All
title.
right, so we did,
They're a lien
okay.
holder on the.
I gave it as an example so that you can understand. You can understand that if she said we own it. Indeed, she may use those words because they are the financier.
Well, it
So there's a
seems like
lien holder.
maybe
We
as
have a
we
lot of
move
questions
forward
asked.
with Green Bank that we clarify that, because I have a little bit different understanding. I know that they're the financer, but I also understood them to be the owner of it and the absolute controller of the process. Now, they are not the installer, they're not the contractor, they're probably not even much of the engineering. I think that's probably subcontracted, but I see them as like the GC of the project.
Yeah,
Where
but-
Titan was more like a
Once the GC leaves, you have your house.
maybe, yeah, but, right. So GC in the process,
Yeah.
they're the owner of the project is what I understood.
So,
Or that was my understanding from the takeaway.
That's how I understood it.
Also,
yeah.
but historically,
I-
historically for sure, that was for that presentation,
We never
I often
asked them-
thought Green Bank was just the money.
We didn't ask them how many places they are actually functioning in this way. Monitoring it all the time.
So
Or did they
or
subcontract that?
if we circle back with them, we can ask that.
But we did ask them, or Katie revealed to us that they do not have a lot of in-house expertise.
Correct.
So that's where the confusion is here, okay?
Okay, so
I mean, there's four of them in
Right.
Green Bank.
let me ask this then, what, between the two business models, Titan Energy and Green Bank, which do you feel more comfortable getting involved with?
Well, I understood that, I really liked Adam at Titan. But I like the idea that with Green Bank, there's one throat to choke. Okay, simple as that. At least that's how I understood. They own the whole damn thing, where Titan consults and then passes it off.
I totally agree with that concept, at least if we're gonna look at it through as daily presented, a starting process. So building A, right? That's how I look at it. Green Bank is really nice, clean and neat. And we don't have to worry about the details of choosing the best and, having the town hire company B and then get financed through this, and, you know, so we're kind of like, I like the
One throat to choke.
That's a process.
Sounds horrible.
It, at least to get started, but I think on that same note, if we're to give out our power bills, let's give it to both representative, both parties. And get just a little bit more information, and sure, we'll have more questions and then choose, but right now, as we sit, I would choose the green bank model for simplicity and simplicity only.
We wouldn't get that out of VCS. I mean, that's my
Well, that's
point
a third
before is
option, that's a third option, I thought we were just talking about Titan
the
versus.
idea of,
Let me back up why one throat to choke is interesting for me with, and particularly with Greenbank and not also with ECS, which we get one throat to choke there with them too.
right,
Is that Greenbank is, you know, a legislative, it has a more, it seems to me more stability being a quasi-governmental legislative body.
And the next question that would instantly pop in my head about ECS is, are they interested in municipalities, or they're more private, like a high school's not quite a government? So I'm just
Well,
curious
I
if
don't know
that,
The
about
other thing
that,
you
but-
might
I don't know where
consider
that
doing
fits.
since all of these hypotheticals, because we're really getting pretty far afield right now with. We haven't really interviewed many companies that are actually doing the business like ECS, and there are others, and Titan could come in and make a different type of presentation, not to be our overall manager of our decision-making process, but to say what they would do.
Mhm.
But we haven't really,
Well, we did the first one, right?
when,
The very
Which
first
one?
project.
Oh, yeah, right. But, you know.
Well,
what,
we
I
did
don't know what
the
you're
town,
talking
the
about.
town.
You know, the one that.
The first,
one
the
that-
Greenleaf, right?
Greenleaf, when, as far as I know, directly to Henry, and the town had no information until
We
that
saw
file
later.
came.
Yeah.
So there was no process
So
that I'm familiar with.
I'm just wondering if, I mean, you asked a valid question about like, what are people most comfortable with? Whatever model we chose, I would definitely not want the town to own it. I would definitely want it to be owned by another entity. I don't want to get,
For what reason?
because this town is small and has limited resources in which to gain the expertise to manage a new realm of business, basically, well. And I don't think we need to do that to benefit. So my feeling is, whatever model we take, it should not be one where we own the project and are responsible for maintaining it over time.
And to pay for it to begin with, huh?
Right. I would, if the school is benefiting in some way, in several ways. One is lower costs. Another way is being good environmental stewards, which is to me a very important part of it. And they do not have the liability, the burden, responsibility of owning and maintaining something. They are not the only ones doing that. You asked what we were more comfortable with. I'm just sharing. I also just wanted to add that I think it would be helpful for us to ask Sam. I would ask Sam directly, actually, not a board member, but Sam, how they determined what solar model to use and how they determined what contractor to use. Maybe they used a Titan or a Green Bank or even another entity with expertise that we don't even know about. Or maybe they had access to expertise gratis pro bono on their board or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that particular point, so Sam would be
Yeah.
shed a lot of light on their
Yeah.
decision-making process that could illuminate what we need to do.
Yeah. Back to your
If I may
question.
say something. It's Corinna. I think it's important for the town to choose a model where the town doesn't have to put in money first. So whichever model that is can be determined, but I don't think the town has money to put in to own. So I find that important in regards to the green and Titan. I personally just found Adam's presentation easier to follow, and I found him easier to work with so far. As in he answered questions better, whereas the lady, some of the questions she just didn't really answer, no matter how much we try to drill for it. Like, does the town ever get a check or something? So to me, that's important too, how we can work with a person. But obviously, I'm open to whatever everybody decides is the best for the town.
I just want to add something. I agree with you, but my reasons for your first thing is not to spend the money. It's not, even if we had all the money in the world, I still would recommend against being the investor in the project for the reasons I mentioned. But I agree, you know, I agree with you though. And I also, you know, I hate to be prejudiced against a company for their presentation, but I had the same impression as Karina did, in that, you know, Adam was very organized and presented it very well. She just seemed to bounce around a lot, and it was very hard to absorb.
Katie,
Saying, Katie, thank you. As I said, remake may be great. I just didn't think she did a good presentation.
I just didn't like that when some questions were presented very clearly that she just avoided the answer. You know, I understand about being maybe all over the place, and I know we asked a lot of questions and interrupted her presentation, but after we asked several times the same question over and over again in different forms, and there was just no answer. I just don't like that. But
I agree 100% with what you're saying, but I still like the idea of a single entity to go towards. That's why I chose.
yeah,
reference
I understand that too.
I agree with all those points. Mr. Chairman, I'd say that it's a next step, and we're not precluding a third ECS, so we're filling the blank, right? That we take the latest power bills in town properties and pass them on to both parties at this point.
Okay.
Just to get it rolling, because I think we're at a point where we need more learning and more information, more responses back, so we can get started with those. So it doesn't mean that we're going A versus B.
It's just like a second interview with more information.
Yeah, I think,
because they interviewed
okay.
us while we were interviewing
So-
them.
This is true.
I like the idea of talking to Sam Herrick. I understand he's a wicked busy guy down there, got a lot on his plate. I don't know if he would be up to us asking him, you know.
Well, I think one person should go and ask, you know.
And I think he'd be more than willing. He's phenomenal that way.
Yeah, okay, so
Could he come to our next meeting? Maybe
Would not
go
have
ahead.
him come to
No.
a
No, I
time
think,
is really that
I
precious.
think,
Just have one person ask the two basic questions. Cause he is so busy.
Yes,
Daily, we wanna take that on? And
Great.
okay, and I think the questions that we really wanna have answered are, how did
get started.
How did they
how did you get
determine the
started? How
model,
did you
and how
determine-
did they determine the contractor?
Yeah,
I suggest that item number 4 would be a ongoing agenda item for all.
Yeah,
the meetings.
sure, yeah, yep. I agree. That's a point,
How did the high school determine what solar model would be best for them? You know, is it a contract, do we own, do we lease, do we, you know, that kind of thing? And financial model and own and lease. And then the second one was, how did they determine what contractor? Did they go through a bidding process? Did they have a consultant holding their hands? Did they know they wanted EDC right away, ECS right away? Yeah, you know, those two questions.
I think, I
It-
trust Daley,
Haley knows.
yeah,
Basically.
with any
what-
follow-up that,
Any
that you
questions
think
you
would be
may have.
prudent would, certainly. And then I'll work on getting, I'll ask Michelle for a copy of,
How do we know that that's the next step with both of these
They both said
companies?
it.
I think.
They both said
Yeah.
it, but,
They wanted
that's,
power bills and locations.
okay.
You know,
And then we decide what, well, because they,
no, what I was gonna say, let's go to what what is behind them wanting to know our bills, which is the same place that Greenleaf started,
mhm,
is an assumption which may or may not even be relevant anymore. And that is that they're trying to size the solar gathering process with the energy consumption of that unit.
mhm.
All right, so that is pretty discreet if you're talking about a rooftop installation. Right, that's, you're talking about a building this size that has this much rooftop and capacity for gathering solar energy and has a bill of this size. Right. Now, with this list, if you're talking about you, I think said you wanted to get the list of all of the energy consumptions by governments. I'm not really sure where that's gonna lead. And-
Oh, wait, what's, by different town-owned properties, is that what you're asking?
Right, and well, that's what I think was the next step that you're talking about.
Well, how many electric accounts are there? Do you know?
I'm-
Well,
And
yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Daley, is, do
Per
we,
building,
I mean, is that even where we're headed here?
if we take the entire usage from everything in
Town-owned
town,
properties.
how do we offset that?
I mean,
We would,
and is that even going to be, are we then thinking of putting in some very large field and trying to balance that, or do we want to start?
that was
think
the
that was
original
the-
issue,
That was
right?
the thing, do we want
Well-
to start discrete, do we want to
Do we
start?
have to answer that question yet? I mean, I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think I think that what I came away from the explanations that I've gotten so far at the high school is that yes,
They
do
knew
what you start with, what you're going to do.
here are our assets,
Storage
here
field.
are our liabilities, you know?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, if you do a field, it's a bigger job. You have to be more or less to be economically efficient. You have to be close to three-phase. And it's really a much larger undertaking. And do you want to do that as your first thing, the biggest instant? Or do you want to do a roof, which is discrete? It's for basically managed there at that building. And it's less dollars.
So what I would
I think-
reply on that, it's definitely two different line of thinking,
Yes,
and they're
exactly.
both appropriate, in my opinion. I think the description of the discrete, meaning size and building look specific. That's too small for Green Bank and Titan. That is ECS. If we want to go bigger picture,
I
and I
agree.
could be wrong. Just because Green Bank said it's 5,000 square foot of roof and 50 KW is their minimum size.
We don't,
5,000 square foot of roof is pretty large.
Well, I also
Um,
think we could ask for the bigger thing first, and if we need to, we can downsize. But why not put it all in and see where we go from there?
Even if it's multi-year.
And I think the big part is we're not even making a decision. We're just giving them information to see what they get back to us
Correct.
with their experience. And Green Bank having the minimum size is definitely way bigger than what Daley's talking. And there's a lot of credence to what I'm saying, starting on a small
For
scale.
sure, but the point is, if you're going to get all of the consumption in town. Are you looking to see whether or not that will be a base off of which we can do an offset? Is that your thinking?
It was,
Yeah.
it was my, yeah, it was my understanding from Adam at least that, you know, one of the first steps is you give them all the bills. And they do their own research
Yes.
preliminary, though you have your list here. Of ways that you might approach getting something that's worth investing in, or someone's worth investing in. And they might say, you have a few different options here. They might say you have a field option. You may say you have a multi-roof option. I don't know enough. That's why I'm not advising us on this.
And-
But I'm just saying that I think that their first step was to give them the bills, let them ask the next question.
I went through the
Yes.
town. And I went through the school budget, Kellogg budget.
Yeah.
And I think it was around $45,000 budgeted for
I
electricity.
think it was more 60, no?
60?
I have 58 in my head,
So,
but
Yeah, I remember him telling
I
it.
think the other, the other idea, notion here is that, by going through this exercise, we may find out that these are the guys that we don't want. You know what I mean? I mean, we give them all this information and it may help weed them out.
they
So
may weed us out.
may weed us out, right, of their plan.
The time is not for this.
Yeah, I think it will weed us out in a funny way.
Well, I'm just saying, if, like I said, because I'm just going by because
Size.
Adam didn't give us a size limitation, she gave us a minimum.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
So
what
if
you're
we
saying.
don't,
is
but they
let's-
don't, by weeding out, it's purely physical.
Mhm.
Meaning that we don't have a roof big enough or close enough. Again, that's why we're using, let them figure that out.
I do think that there are plenty of small towns who have done this. And we might not offset our electrical bills in huge amounts. But I bet you anything, they'll
Some-
find a way. Yeah. So I think the first step is what you were saying is, let's give them what they asked for.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes next. And in the meantime, we continue doing our research. And someone did a great job with this. I don't know who it was. Great.
Yeah, that
So
was from
is that something you want to talk
from the
about?
assessor. Well, that's kind of on the next,
Okay, I didn't want to rush
So
you on
before we
that.
get to 5,
Yeah.
what about 4 is?
Continued discussion.
Do you want a motion that about the giving them the
bills?
extension? Gladly will make the motion to pass along our electric bills and town-owned properties to Titan versus Green Bank. My motion would be to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they pass along this information.
okay, let's,
Or they authorize us to do that.
I would second that. And my other question is, of course, you have to find out how many months they want.
well,
I
think-
have a question in the
Oh,
sense of, does the Board of Selectmen have to pass this information on, or can we, as in we, the
It's just research.
Solar Commission?
Well, and that's the only reason I threw that in there, because I don't remember how the charge was stated.
The
It'd
charge.
be
mm,
Be safe,
Because the charge didn't give us, that's why I just safely said Board of Selectmen, because then we're
be safe.
100% covered.
Yeah.
And not that they're not gonna be aware, but
And
then,
it keeps them more
Why
aware.
don't we just, why
I
don't
think
we
it's
just
great.
say that they approve, or let's say authorize us to provide that information.
I like that.
Excellent idea.
Recommend by Solar Committee to pass forward our electrical bills.
Townwide electric bills. Municipal electric bills.
Mhm. I think they want them for a full year,
And
because of the power demands.
potential
So
process
different than the pool. You're so right.
for solar installations.
Lower than our pool.
Second. So recommend the Board of Selectmen to authorize our solar committee to pass forward our municipal electrical bills and potential properties for solar installations to for third party review. So that way it just covers us for ECS or whatever.
Yeah. Get me that right away because I know. it's been going
I'm
on.
seconding. And just to get it out
I'll
there,
get these minutes out to you.
are we approving? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
I think the other, part of that, when we send these out, uh, we need to give them a list of town-owned properties. And if you look at this,
Mhm.
if you look at this list here,
What's MBL? Sorry.
Map.
Map book,
Block and lot.
Block.
yeah, and there's not a lot of information. I kind of went through and looked up, maybe a dozen of them, and there's not a lot of information on a lot of them, other than vacant lot.
Okay.
Doesn't tell you exactly where it is.
mm,
You know, that sand road lot is a treed lot and it's all three-phase electricity and it's facing north.
Which one is this?
Sand Road, the fourth,
29 acres.
no, 1.41 acres. Not huge, not a building,
There's
but
also Sand Road 29 acres.
Yeah, there's a 29 acre one on Sand Road too.
29 acres. of Sand Road.
All the way down to bottom floor.
I didn't see that. I don't know what that is. The 1.3 kind of around the quarries. Go ahead,
Corinna?
Serena.
Yeah, I have another question, which is probably maybe Chris or Greg can answer that. Eversource seems to be running cables all over town that look like braided.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? The big,
Yes, that's a dedicated line. So in other words, that work that we've heard that they're doing at the substation locally, they're tying different substations together. So that one, if one substation goes down, it can backfeed to dedicated circuits.
Mm.
Such as BD, which is the largest user in the area. So it sort of is a redundancy, safety system for their power grid.
okay, I'm
Is-
asking because when they were running the cables on 126, I stopped and asked the guys what they were doing, what kind of cable they were running, and they said it's the new three-phase.
It is a three-phase that feeds from power station to power station. They are
Okay, so it's
correct, you're
not
correct.
necessarily a three-phase that would benefit us to tie into.
We could not tie into that line, but we could
Okay.
tie into the three-phase that it parallels on, if it does parallel, which it does,
Okay,
at least.
all right.
with certain areas.
Is the
Thank you.
Main Street, is the Main Street property that's 6.27 acres, is that the school?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, I would
That
get,
makes sense.
probably is, yeah.
Interesting.
And the firehouse is on Route 7? That's the top one?
That's probably that one. yeah.
Which one of these is a town garage?
The 6 or the 3.1.
so it's the,
It's
oh,
Town garage,
2.77. 2.77.
town garage.
Right.
29 acres on Sand Road. Map 1174.
And down.
So other than the existing facilities at the town garage, is there any extra usable land there?
Not really. I would want to kind of stay away from that.
Is this?
I think the roof would be, certainly be
oh,
accessible. The problem with the rest of it is,
it says Route 6.
whatever, whatever Tim does, I don't, like,
This is probably the recognition.
they store the school buses there, they have,
Many
a lot of
vehicles
those,
going in and out of that place and knock over something.
Yeah,
So there are a few, there are a few, oh, great.
Did anybody see 7th floor on Sand Road? So this is Sand Road.
But this again, the fashion.
6, 7.
Main Street?
That one.
Is that the water tower? The fascines?
That's
Machine-
Sand Road.
Fasheen is on, no, the water tower is on BB Hill.
Oh, that's right.
It's on the other BB Hill.
so where's your,
That's what I'm trying to find. It's
Page Road would be the page there.
This is the quarries, I think. No, this is the quarry.
Well, this
This
is,
is the quarry right here.
yeah,
The two quarries, Conklin and
Okay,
Century.
this is. Illinois.
74 is I didn't know that, I don't think that's. I didn't know that was town owned.
what is?
Greg,
This is
any
a-
chance you can show this on the Zoom?
Yeah, if somebody can hold this up here.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. So that's.
No, show it to the owl.
Okay.
A little bit.
Just show it to the owl.
The owl, right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if you can point to that, where that is, somebody, so set, the quarries are
Is it 70?
across the street, and then
This-
the other side of the railroad track. This
It's
is
29.11.
9 acres.
29.11. I don't see it an amount that's
Map
29.
1174, even though the acres doesn't add up.
Or it says 32.
Okay, never mind holding up to the old owl. That's not really working.
A little bit there, yeah, so,
I don't see anything
But
that's
thank you for
29.11. This
But I
for
do
Sand
see
Road.
You can't go by these
Oh.
maps, it'll get you close, but doesn't necessarily match up to the property card.
Okay, but do we have anything that's close? I mean, would it be anything here?
Well, we know it's 74 because.
Oh, we
of
do know it's 74.
because of
The
the.
MBL, so you're at map
74.
11
1174, right?
and then 74.
So it's
I don't
over here.
know. That's,
So that's
it'd be
behind.
interesting to know what, that's by Matt's. In between,
Where is it, huh? Do you know which one that is?
well, it's across the street from the quarry,
Is it,
It's behind the railroad tracks.
behind the railroad tracks.
And
So
these
it's
are all-
across from the
These
quarry.
are the
That's,
houses, so
Yeah.
this is, that string house is just
Yeah.
north of
Yeah.
the
Where's the
railroad
quarry?
siding.
and the Sand Road one that's, one
This is
point,
our railroad
what's,
siding.
is there 1171? I mean, 1161?
1161, there would be,
66, it'll be off the map up here.
that would, well, it's our Canaan.
Well, this is 1161. And it's
That's up-
1.41.
That's up from here somewhere,
Okay,
59, right here.
okay, so there's that too.
1.41?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
is
here-
And that's
It looks
the
like
plot north of the,
Is this level?
So it may be the,
swamp.
That's
it
all.
may be the entrance to that, so.
It is traversable, but that is, it's the part of,
So we know that they're connected slightly.
What if-
yeah, it looks as though they are, Amy, for sure,
Is that the one that was a tax sale on?
20 years ago,
Yeah,
And
maybe
the,
longer.
and the largest property, the 69 acres, that's probably
That's the town farm.
town farm.
Yeah.
And then the other 63, which is 7.24, is that the
That's-
dump?
dump.
Okay, or transfer station.
And the town farm is a wreck.
Right. That's interesting, I'd have to verify.
The 7.24, that's the dump.
That's the transfer station map.
Transfer station.
Yeah. And then the fishing street that you were talking
Yeah, but-
about. Where is that 10 acres?
This,
I think it's
Looks like
straight off the
that.
end, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a,
Warren, Doc Boardman's.
and
It's
Yeah.
behind Doc Boardman's?
Well, it used to be a part of Doc Boardman's,
so
so
split it
Right.
off and they
And is that like
gave it to the town.
Is that the
for
one
use
that's
as
really
affordable housing.
wet?
It's very wet,
Wet?
But is it usable?
for sure,
But
is it clear?
deeded?
no, it's what it.
And you said it was deeded for.
It was
affordable
deeded
housing?
for the use.
Yeah, they couldn't
For
build
the
it
purpose
because it
of,
was so wet. Yeah.
using for affordable housing,
And then-
but it has been looked at countless times for that use. and
Huh?
And how about the
So far.
Lime Rock Station, 15 acres, 15.5
I think
acres?
that's the,
That'd be the high
that
school.
Habitat.
No, the high
Lime Rock
school's on
Station.
Warren
Right.
Turnpike.
Oh,
Lime Rock Station.
Station, oh.
I have no idea
Is
what
that
that
where
would be.
they're considering having affordable housing
But
there?
we don't own that
What's that?
property.
No, I don't.
Oh,
You might have to look at that map again.
Lime Rock Station, I
Yeah.
just can't, it's a short road. Like I just can't figure out what would be.
And BB Hill Road, wait, such a small amount.
Maybe the library? No.
No,
No, those are such tiny.
yeah,
What the
I
hell?
was thinking.
Page Road would be, of course, the daycare
That's-
center, and I don't know, maybe there are two plots right next to each other, probably 19.4, 19.3.
There's map 143.
So that's 143 is the Lime Rock Station Road.
That's down behind the Habitat, this is right.
I don't know, let's see, this is Route 7, so you go along Route 7 and then you take a left on Lime Rock Station Road. The Habitat one I thought was more around here.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
the Habitat houses are.
This is over here. Is this on a mountain? Oh, is that on a hill?
Oh, that could be that steep mountain you see from the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
Well, you can use.
This is the old Johnson Road. You know how you can slip down here. I don't know if that's
But it's
actually hill.
landlocked.
And you're not gonna get a lot of sun there with a mount there.
Well, that's an interesting parcel piece. If we mentioned.
Yeah, but it's definitely not a very scenic spot. Yeah, but it's got a,
Hillbilly.
yeah,
The
yeah,
the hill goats, the
Right.
hilly goats,
hillbilly goes, yeah. But,
the Irish goats. the-
okay.
See little white dots on you.
Okay, there are two page roads, 860.
Yeah, I think it's the daycare and the one next to it.
So what is,
Oh.
which one is for daycare?
Bates Road, what is it?
There are two.
Right. the
They're right
Bates-
next to each other, 1904 and 1903.
That's the daycare in the field next to it. And then there's a third lot on the
Other
Winter
side.
Rocks Road.
Oh.
That's like an acre or something. There should be three. on
Do
the-
we, I don't think we have Point of Rocks Road on this list.
It would be on page.
126. It was,
So 2.18, there should be, there should be a third page road. Oh, that's an 8.66. Maybe the 2.18 is the far end. There's one on the far end as well. So there's one on the Point of Rocks end of Page
Oh.
Road. And then you have the
126.
daycare. Maybe the daycare is in that field is 8.66.
Could be, yeah, that goes all the way behind,
You know, we'd have to pull.
Yeah.
What's the property across from the daycare? I know it has a little sign.
That's the Nature
Wetland?
Conservancy.
Yeah, that's not, a-
That's not right. I just didn't know who.
Is that state owned?
Nature Conservancy.
Nonprofit.
They're nonprofit, that's not a state. Just property owners,
how
same
big is-
ones who own Sand Road and Belden Street, that property, Point of Rocks,
mhm.
that's Nature Conservancy.
what about Canaan Mountain
About-
Road? Oh, sorry,
Sorry, how about all the Robin Swamp?
that's
That's,
considered preserved, right, preserved.
There is some private ownership and obviously maybe some town ownership. And then a lot of state ownership.
And then you have Canaan Mountain Road, 20 acres
Yeah, I
plus.
don't know, is that landlocked?
That's a landlocked piece and there's no power.
So
No power.
we put that on tax. Sale or tax, they didn't pay taxes.
So you took,
And the thought to take it was, is there a benefit in the town? We're always hoping that the state, because it's a state forest,
they
that we could maybe sell to the state and make something. of it.
like still.
Because we
but-
weren't getting paid the taxes anyhow.
Right. So Canaan Mountain Road, that's probably forested and shadowy anyway.
So what looks the best out of all the
I
land?
think it's all just
First,
landlocked as.
First impression, anybody?
Yeah.
Right, no
Well,
power.
I would think,
So obviously town farm property.
I think we need to
be same.
hold off on making a decision as what our best thought is. And let professionals determine what it is, and then we decide if either one of these companies or third companies are worth
Time.
spending the time with them on what they can do for us. Right?
well, I think they're gonna, I think the first thing they're gonna ask when we give them all the bills is,
What do you think?
yeah, where can we put it?
Well, they did say that they,
They have
I mean, you
their
can
way.
give them this, but you can, and then they can scope it out. I mean, they have the resources to look at that. If they let them ask us the question, then if that's what
Mhm.
they need, but
It's fully comprehensive.
it's all the town property.
Yeah,
I think we need to verify some of them.
Oh, really? You think some of them are not town property?
I've never heard of the one on Sand Road, that big parcel ever. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, I just never heard of it.
But I think you're right. I think that.
Just give her the list and they're gonna do a Google map anyway and.
Or,
And they
their
also
own
have
drones.
access to these things. They also have access to maps and
Absolutely.
things. And if they need more information, they'll ask us for more information.
okay.
I think.
Curious, the field at the daycare, did you ever have a discussion about that particular location? I know it's wet, but for solar.
Mm.
The,
You got
It's not
right
swampy.
there,
Oh, no, it's not that, that's not that high.
it's sunny.
Yeah, it's sunny. I've been on it. Page,
That's the daycare.
next to daycare. I played,
It's
I've
in the
watched
front.
plenty of soccer on that field.
Yeah.
And of course, watched many muddy soccer outfits because of the mud, but it's not.
It's doable, they mow it
definite.
most of the year.
Anyway.
It's surrounded
So-
by trees.
So that if we get swampy
Yeah,
or wet, is that a wetlands issue? Okay,
As far as I know, it's
10
not
in
just-
the morning.
It's wetlands, it's just a
Okay.
wet area.
I do
I mean,
recall it
might
being
not
very
be
wet.
wet. I'm no expert.
How about roofs? I mean, all the roofs are good. Are we looking at repairing?
Well, that's a problem there too, is, I know. Bill Beebe is on the building committee for the grammar school,
And they are
the-
replacing parts of it, aren't they?
They just did
the
one
the
roof.
membrane.
They just did a membrane roof on
Right,
one.
but the structural part of it is the part I would worry about, and,
Oh, that's over the gym, right? Because it's the
well,
long,
no,
it's
it's
the
over
big,
the flat roof is the tough part, is, that they've gone up and shoveled snow off of several
Ooh.
times because they're worried of,
I did it.
you-
One winter.
okay, so, so, I'm not sure
It was a
how
lot of
much live load a solar array would put on a roof, I have no idea. Or if there's ways to,
We're going through that, we're going through that at the mural project for a building. And within the repairs, they put down more
Mhm.
support, obviously. So if we catch it before the repairs are done at the school, or suggest that they consider the cost benefit of anticipating hosting solar and finding out what the cost of that extra structural reinforcement might be.
those roofs are excellent. There's like two wings, one this way, one that way. They did one wing last year with a membrane. The other wing is a completely shot roof that has to be done. And then there's a whole bunch of jumbled up roofs in the middle.
Hmm.
And those two wings are just perfect. They face south. They're out of
It's
the way.
high.
You wouldn't see anything, but are they structurally sound?
right,
One side with the membrane, that's, that one has a new roof. But the other side has to be,
So I did meet with the, chairman of the local elementary board. It's Daily, I do actually do a question that Daily had about using that in the concern that she had it was structural, and my reply back was, well, you can make anything work. If it works for the company, they'll own it and they'll know and they'll be reliable. Say they did put it up there and there was
Well, no, they
Some
might
sort of
actually
failure.
pay to make it structurally
Exactly,
sound.
exactly, or that'll, the way that they
Mhm.
support it will take that snow load off,
Right.
this is what they do.
Mm.
Let them tell us, that's,
Right.
well,
Was she
we
open
will
it?
keep that,
Open to it?
at that point, she wasn't,
Okay.
that might have changed, that was a year.
Oh, a while ago. Okay. Yeah.
And a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
the firehouse is a very good roof. Metal roof, relatively new. It's just on the south side of the property where there's right next to the building are tall trees,
Mhm.
And I think it's probably close to the property line too there, so you can't cut down an acre of trees.
It is, pretty much the
Well,
property is
definitely.
open that they own. Yeah. For the most part.
That's
property,
a
the adjoining property is the town of Falls Village too.
It is.
The, down the back is the,
Yeah,
On Route 7.
the gravel bin, gravel bin.
Okay,
So,
Again, let them.
so that was number 5. We kind of reviewed list for town.
that was helpful to become a little more familiar.
Yeah. So I think, if everybody, it's really easy to find these lots on the maps, the first number is the map.
Yeah.
So show down. In the lower corner, and then it's just a matter of finding the corresponding next number.
Yeah.
And then find a third number for a lot, and then you can easily go in the vault, pull the property card, and it'll show you an overview of
More
that
detail.
lot, so.
Okay.
It's kind
Oh.
of, I enjoy it, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So we've heard that like the absolute best spot to put one of these arrays is on land that you cannot do anything with, but would support it, which is a capped landfill.
Mhm.
And so we've got one of them. And are we close on the other one that we just tap it and bingo, you're ready to go? And now we have two of them that we could put a,
Well, I
sizable
think
array?
the problem with that one is, the proximity to three-phase.
Yes, okay. Yes,
We've
that's
been
right.
told by,
Yeah.
the previous
Green
selectmen
leaf.
that, that wasn't a problem. They were gonna tie into that, but apparently I think.
Yeah.
Three phases and we heard that also from,
okay.
yeah, the guy. So,
I have a weird question that's information that's flowing back into my memory. Is that there was another weird option. I'm not saying I'm for this. But it was I can't remember, I think it was Adam that mentioned it. A private
Yes.
property owner
Yes.
permitted it to go forward on their property. And there was some arrangement for it to benefit the municipality. I can't remember it all.
Yeah, he alluded to it, he had mentioned it to me too. In a little more detail than just glancing, but also it was complicated enough that I couldn't understand damn word.
I think in essence, parts of it, and it was kind of maybe like a pilot of payment in lieu of taxes. A landowner could allow
was
the
a
town of
credit.
Canaan to put the array, take the benefits, and the offset to the private landowner would be maybe a potential tax benefit or whatever is worked out.
Some financial arrangement.
About that.
But I just wonder, we might have some private landowners
Mhm.
who have a significant amount, who knows, maybe
Yeah.
Music Mountain has a section of their property that's high up and up and that they're not using.
And we don't know if they don't know.
Yeah, right. I know, maybe you have parts of the quarry that you're not
Ah.
using, so.
We get asked quite often. That's when I know
Yeah.
the incentives are up
Yeah,
because the phone calls start.
Do we know the map of three-phase in town?
That's a great question and one that I was thinking about in this conversation earlier. It'd be nice to have that to overlay. But that maybe.
Where do we
something
think
to-
it is?
Something to.
well, it's pretty simple. It's the top of the telephone pole, the cross pole, there's three wires.
Yeah.
And then,
That's 7.
yeah, Route 7 up Sand
Sand Road,
Road
for sure.
63.
It's 63?
No?
No, not
It's,
so, no, that's
it-
single phase.
It can
It's
be
got the
really
overhead
surprising.
lines.
You'd think,
But it's a
why
single
is it?
phase.
Sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all why there's three phase there, but there is.
But maybe on the southern end, I don't, honestly, I never looked down there, but I know by the transfer station, it's all single.
Oh.
And it's fed from two directions.
Which one of these was the Greenleaf site?
Who is the largest
Center.
one,
68.
largest one?
69.06.
Route 63.
Oh, okay.
The town farm.
And is there a representative of the rec? Here,
Yes.
yeah, and so that's right. So
Yeah.
I mean, is it adamant that there is no solar going there at all, or?
Well, there was a small section,
I think
right?
we
There was a
already-
motion.
We did a
put
motion.
Forward to, actually out of this committee. as
Yep,
well,
Yes.
yep.
So we
The-
recommended no.
To the Board of Selectmen that any placement be in the area of the chip pile or is it?
It was a narrow stretch between the transfer station
Yes.
and the driveway of the,
The gate.
the town farm. Right, and it was a long narrow strip.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
That's a good spot there.
yeah,
But again, no.
It's not out of the
no
question.
three-phase.
but there's no three phase.
There's no three phase, but that's the proposal that Greenleaf, they had a solution for it.
Okay,
So
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 we'll
maybe
leave it
the
to this.
other
see what these
companies
others
would
say.
have a
If they had a
solution.
solution, maybe it's just another option that
Yeah,
could work, but three phase is definitely a clincher. Doesn't mean that area is.
Right.
In my opinion.
yes.
Again, let them tell us.
I just asked him that,
Not yet.
no, nothing
We're
available at
working
the
on it.
quarry, no.
All right,
It's closer to the sun.
do we, when do we want to meet again?
I guess when we have something to hear back from the others and from Daly's research.
Yeah, and
I
Steve,
want to give
right?
you a date at this point. I want to talk to Sam's
Okay,
office.
so,
School ending, everything.
Yeah.
be determined, yeah, how's that sound?
That sounds fine for now.
Corinna's the only one we have on Zoom if. Under number 6. Just she's a member. Corinna, are you still there?
I'm still here, yes.
Your ceiling looks great. I hope you're feeling well.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
I think we should set a date for the next meeting,
But we don't know,
tentatively, just to have a place marker.
maybe 3 weeks from now then? And you're just gonna need some time, I think. So like June 5th?
That's 3 weeks.
Nothing else.
I wouldn't do it earlier than.
No, you don't, yeah, maybe even the 12th.
Yeah, I would go definitely the 12th or later, just give
I'll just
time,
kind of set it.
flexibility.
Great,
And then it gives us an incentive to get those other.
Oh, yeah.
actually, it's
Yeah.
tentatively in my calendar anyway.
Let's go at 5. How that sound, Dale?
That would be better, thank you.
Yes,
June
5
12th.
because is that the second
We'll do it.
Wednesday? Is that a Wednesday?
That's a Wednesday, I think you
And
have
it
a
says
rec
we
meeting
have a rec meeting at
7.
7.
Okay, so we'll make it short and sweet.
So that one's at 5, right, on the 12th?
June 12th, 5 p.m. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
7:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Corinna.
Good night.
Thanks, bye.